What's up, Liron here. In this episode of Painting Masters, we'll be looking at work by Stanislaw Zolads, an incredible painter. I believe he's originally from Poland, and he works a lot in plein air. And what you're gonna see is, at the beginning, I'm gonna show you how a plein air work turns into probably a more studio-based work, but his way of expressing what he sees is incredible. I would say it's photorealistic. However, it is a bit stylized, which I like. It is a bit impressionistic. So we've seen artists like Thierry Duval in the past that they really take it to the far end of hyperrealism. I do think that I see more in Stanislaw Zolads' work, a bit more of an impressionism, which I like. And I actually look at his work as a new bar to aspire to because it is so incredible. You're going to see in just one moment. So with that being said, let's get started. So we'll get started, and the first painting I want to show you is actually this cat, which I find really interesting. It's much different from most of his work that you're going to see, but I thought it would be entertaining. That's actually his profile picture on Facebook. So it's just so smart. Look at the space around the cat and the sunlight pouring in. It's such a good painting, and I thought it would be a whimsical way of opening it up. Very smart with the effect on that curtain, in which you can see just the shadow of the cat cast on the curtain. A very nice effect, and the ears become a little more transparent, or they're a bit more orange. Just very impressive. Let's continue. Now, I wanted to show you this painting, and afterwards, bear with me, this painting. Why? Because, and I'm going to go back to the previous one, this painting looked like it was done on plein air, on location, and I know that Stanislav does a lot of plein airs. That's his bread and butter. So it makes sense to me that the next one is studio work, probably because it looks a little more tidied up, and just better, I think. So more final. I don't want to say better because this is incredible. So there is a very good sense of the weather and the kind of haziness of a snowy day. We don't get any of these here in Israel. I wish we'd had more of these. And then the icy lake or river. But then if you go to the next one, it's much more tidied up. And if you look at the buildings, these, I don't know what you'd call these pipes or chimneys of the boat. Look at how nice the gradation is here compared to here that was done a little quicker. But still, the major, everything, all the major components of a good painting exist in the previous one as well, which is really cool. So that's one I wanted to start with. Now, we're going to go to another staple painting of his, which is the rocks. He loves these rocks, and I was able to dig around and find this picture of him working on location on probably a very similar rock to the one I just showed you. So I thought it would be cool to include that here, and notice the level he reaches working plein air. Now, I don't know anything about his technique. Maybe he revisits the same area. Maybe, I don't know exactly how he does it, but it's incredible, really. And again, I'm going to go back to this one, take a look at all the details, even the small ripples of the water and how they cast light on the rocks so you get these stripes of light. I have no idea how he does that. I really don't on a technical level. I could guess, but it's just so good. Let me show you a couple of other rocks. So here's some more with the water on it and some ice. By the way, the ice that melts probably just after winter. A couple of other rocks, and look at these beautiful ripples on the water, and even double ripples. There's a ripple and then another ripple inside it. Same here, you get these beautiful, so detailed. I cannot fathom how this can be done on location, and it might have not been done on location. The on-location painting may be a little simpler, but this is just incredible. And all of the textures on the rock and everything, the splashes here, it's just so smart. The negative painting required just to produce this piece of lighter space. I don't know how you'd even go about that. But in any case, next up, some more rocks. This I love. This line is, and you will see it on some smooth rocks that have been smoothed out by the water. Such a great sense of all of these colors of the pebbles. This is just genius at work, really. This one as well. This transition from blue to green, very common when you get these shallow waters, and that green is the color that's most reflected. Just so good. Next up, we have some cityscapes. And you know, I love cars. Here we go, cars. And I would say also in somewhat challenging conditions. And why is that? Because the snowy weather, there isn't a strong sunlight or strong light source. You get the white of the snow, which is really nice, but it's still more challenging. The changes are more subdued and more intricate and nuanced, but he was able to convey that perfectly well. Notice how when you go into the distance, this area of the painting is so blurry and hazy. Not blurry, but more hazy and light. It's just beautiful. I can't detach myself from the fact that this is a painting. I cannot see it for what it is because it's so good. Next up, let's see what else we have here. This I love. This orange building, very strong and light, then a bit more purple and subdued, and then the negative painting around that car. Let me zoom in for you. Beautiful European architecture, and then the snow on top of the cars and all the snow piles here. This is so good. This was obviously done with opaque paint after the fact, but like approaching this kind of painting is something I still don't know exactly how I would do. I have a very basic sense of how I would do it, but I can't completely understand how I would do it, and it's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Now, I wanted to show you something that's a little more hazy, more atmospheric, more simplified, and this is the best example I could find. By the way, if any of these works aren't his, correct me, let me know in a comment below. I'm sorry about that, but I do believe all of them are. This glow that I have no idea how he achieved, of this very gentle yellow, kind of thin strip of yellow around the edges of the buildings. I don't know how he did that. Maybe he lifted back some paint, maybe showing the underpainting. I really don't know, but this is so good. Notice even this edge of the building here, there is a bit of that yellow. So maybe he started with that and then shifted into blue. But he is really able to fool me with this one. This reflection here on the right, this little sun ray coming through the clouds. This is just so amazing that I lost my voice. Sorry about that. But this is so good. But then again, what makes it work really is the overall composition. You have this strong shape here, this very nice center of attention, very clever with the red. Then you get this huge pile of just buildings connecting with the lake or the river itself, some details on the boat and a negative painting, and then this thin strip of light of the ground here in the cars. This is such a genius painting, really, when I think about it. Now, this one I wanted to share with you because process-wise, I could figure out how he did it, and I can't see the actual brush marks and lines. It's still hard because it's so good, but I can tell like this, the negative painting here, just putting in the rocks and then leaving these white strips of snow. I can see what he did here finally, because the previous one I couldn't even tell. Like you can see this orange almost starting to become a little peach, merged in the first wash around the highlights, and then a bit of a darker value added here, a bit of a darker value as well, and this fence or whatever it is in dry brush. I can't tell what I'm looking at in terms of the brush work and so on, but for some of these I really can't. This is the same ship we've seen from earlier, only from the other angle of the other side, that I showed you one example of what I think is plein air and another that's studio. So this looks again like a studio work to me, but I could be wrong. Just the other end of the boat. Probably he took a couple of pictures, then together with the painting worked on them. Just amazing. I have nothing to say. And this is all icy river, so it's all in the shadow. It's all in the cracks of the ice, this boat, so just beautiful. Still life, I thought I'd show you one of those because I haven't shown you. Well, he has more of the landscapes, but this is, again, another display of amazing abilities. Really, I would say everything is great about this one. I actually don't like it in terms of, I don't like the place itself. I don't think I would like how it looks, but the painting is fantastic. Next up, so we have a few Stormy scenes with houses in them. I love this contrast of, you know, when you have sunlight in some part of the scene, but then all of the background is dark clouds. I love these days. They're very specific. They happen when you get a sunny day in the middle of the winter, which is really nice. I love these kinds of views. We have this one. We have this one, very similar. Again, super strong storm in the background. Like, I don't know how you even tackled that big of a wash. It looks like even, it has a bit of an oily characteristic. This part looks a bit like oil. These little straight lines, I don't know how he does that. Maybe with a ruler. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. It's incredible. Regardless, this is one of my favorites, by the way, of this entire episode. This is the first painting of his that kind of popped for me in the Google search. Just fantastic. Let's see what else we have here. This is so smart. The composition here is so unique because you get this horizon line, quote unquote, here, and it's so high up the scene. It's very unusual. But then the majority of the scene is the body of water here, and this transition from maybe ice to thin ice and water, and the reflection of the boat. And then you have in the background just a couple of buildings and cars. It is beautiful. Every car is really colorful, which I love. Just beautiful work. This one, what I love about this painting is, notice first off the architecture, crazy, like Eastern European, I guess. Beautiful structures. But then look at this snow pile. It's so smart to put in this orange peach in the kind of to convey the reflected light from the buildings or whatever it is, kind of mirroring the color he sees in other places of the scene. So shadows of snow aren't just blue. You know, everything is in the context of the environment. You get a lot of reflected light. So if there's a shiny wall somewhere, it's going to reflect light on the snow pile, like in this example. So just spectacular. And the last one I want to wrap up with this boat is incredible, and again, very clever and unique composition. Let's zoom out just a bit so we can see all of these cars. He is so smart. Compositionally, technique-wise, you know, the impression, this abstraction that's very light, or maybe, let's say, impressionism or stylization. This, I don't even know how you would approach doing this kind of wash. Maybe using, maybe even colored pencils. I have no idea, but it's so beautiful. Probably takes some time to work on such a painting. But in any case, this is it, I think. Yep, this is the last one. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're as amazed as I am by these ones. And now let's wrap it up. So this is it. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. We are nearing episode 30, so I'll try and think of something interesting to celebrate it. And now we can wrap it up. Take care, and I'll talk to you again in another episode real soon.